You're a thief. Those were the first words out of my boss's mouth when he called me into his office on a Tuesday morning. Not, we need to talk. Not, there's been a misunderstanding. Just, you're a thief. I'd worked at TechFlow Solutions for 5 years, senior IT specialist. I managed the servers, the security protocols, the backup systems. I had access to everything, every email, every file, every password. And my boss, Derek Chen, was about to learn exactly what that meant. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to that Tuesday morning. I walked into Derek's office expecting a routine check-in, maybe a discussion about the new firewall upgrade. Instead, I found Derek sitting behind his desk with his arms crossed, flanked by Linda from HR and 2 security guards I'd never seen before. Red flag number 1. "Sit down," he said. His voice was cold, formal. I sat. "We've discovered some irregularities. Equipment has gone missing. High-value items, laptops, monitors, networking hardware, about $15,000 worth of company property." I nodded slowly. "Okay. Do you need me to pull security logs? Check the inventory system?" He smiled, not a nice smile. "We already know who took it. You did." The room went very quiet. "Excuse me?" I said. "You heard me." Derek leaned forward. "You're the only person with unrestricted access to the equipment room. You handle all the asset tracking. You even personally signed out several of these items over the past 6 months." He slid a piece of paper across the desk. Asset checkout forms, with my signature. Except I'd never signed them. "This is fake," I said, keeping my voice level. "I never signed these forms. I never checked out this equipment. This is for free." "That's what they all say," Linda from HR chimed in. She looked almost bored, like she'd done this 100 times before. "We're terminating your employment effective immediately. You're being escorted off the premises. We're not pressing criminal charges at this time, but if you contest this termination or try to badmouth the company, we will. Do you understand?" I understood perfectly. I was being framed and threatened into silence. The security guard stepped forward. "Sir, we need you to come with us." They walked me out through the main office, past every cubicle, past every coworker I'd worked with for 5 years. Everyone staring, whispering. The walk of shame. They took my badge, my keycard, my laptop. They even made me empty my pockets to make sure I wasn't stealing anything on the way out. But here's the thing they didn't take. My personal phone, the one that still had remote admin access to every system in the building. Because I'd set that access up 2 years ago for emergency maintenance. Derek had approved it himself. He'd just forgotten about it. Big mistake. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes, just processing. 5 years, gone in 10 minutes. My reputation destroyed, my career potentially ruined. All because someone decided to make me the fall guy. But who? And why? I pulled out my phone, opened the admin portal. I probably had a few hours before they realized I still had access and locked me out. So I started digging. First, I pulled the real equipment logs, the ones stored on the backup server that couldn't be easily edited. The missing equipment? It had been checked out all right, but not by me. Every single checkout was authorized by Derek's credentials, his login, his digital signature. He'd stolen the equipment himself and then forged my signatures on paper forms to frame me.
But that was just the beginning. See, when you give someone admin access to your email server, they can see everything. Every email you've ever sent or received, every draft you've saved, every message you thought you'd deleted. Nothing is ever really gone. I started with Derek's sent folder. 5 years of emails, 73,000 messages. I searched for equipment. 300 hits. I searched for Craigslist, 18 hits. I searched for eBay, 27 hits. And then I searched for side money, 64 hits. Derek had been selling company equipment online for at least 3 years. Laptops, monitors, networking gear, even some of our backup server components. He'd list them on eBay and Craigslist under a fake name, ship them to a P.O. box, deposit the cash into a separate bank account. And he'd been covering it up by manipulating the inventory records and blaming shrinkage or depreciation. But it got worse. I found emails between Derek and Linda from HR going back 2 years. She knew. She'd known the whole time. In one email from 18 months ago, Derek wrote, "We need to be more careful. Too many laptops missing. Could trigger an audit." Linda responded, "Pick a scapegoat before year-end. IT department has access. Easy to pin." They'd been planning to frame someone from IT for over a year. I was just the unlucky one they chose. I kept digging. I downloaded everything. Every email, every attachment, every log file. Forensic copies. Timestamps preserved. Metadata intact. By midnight, I had 5 years of evidence. Gigabytes of data. Organized, indexed, searchable. Proof of theft, proof of embezzlement, proof of conspiracy, proof of fraud. The next morning, I called a lawyer, explained everything, showed him the evidence. He literally whistled. He said, This is a prosecutor's dream case. How did you get all this?" I said, "I'm IT. It's literally my job to have access to this stuff." He grinned. They never think about the IT guy. We filed a wrongful termination suit within 72 hours, but we didn't stop there. My lawyer also contacted the district attorney's office, provided them with copies of everything, the emails, the sales records, the financial trails. The DA opened a criminal investigation within a week. Derek found out about the lawsuit on a Friday. I know because my lawyer got a panicked email from TechFlow's corporate counsel that same afternoon, offering to settle immediately. We declined, politely. Then the fun really started. See, once we filed the lawsuit, everything became discoverable, which meant TechFlow had to preserve all evidence. They couldn't delete anything, couldn't shred documents, couldn't accidentally lose emails. Legal hold. It's a beautiful thing. But Derek didn't know I already had everything, so he tried to cover his tracks anyway. I found out later, through discovery, that Derek had spent that entire weekend trying to delete incriminating emails. He purged his sent folder, cleared his deleted items, even tried to wipe his laptop's hard drive. Obstruction of justice. In writing, with metadata, showing exactly when he did it. The DA loved that part.
The lawsuit moved forward. TechFlow's lawyers tried everything to get it dismissed. They argued I'd stolen the evidence, that it was obtained illegally, that it violated Derek's privacy. The judge wasn't buying it. She said during one hearing, the plaintiff was an authorized administrator. He had legitimate access to these systems as part of his job duties. The fact that the defendant now regrets giving him that access doesn't make it illegal. Motion denied. Meanwhile, the criminal investigation was expanding. The DA had forensic accountants going through everything. TechFlow's books, Derek's bank accounts, Linda's financial records. Turns out, Derek had stolen over $300,000 in equipment over 5 years. And Linda? She'd been taking a cut. 15% of everything Derek sold, in exchange for helping him cover it up and providing scapegoats when needed. I wasn't even the first person they'd framed. The DA found 2 other former employees who'd been fired under suspicious circumstances, one for mishandling inventory, another for unauthorized equipment transfers. Both were IT staff. Both had access to equipment. Both had refused to fight back because of Derek's threats about criminal charges.
The DA added them to the case. Pattern of behavior, systematic fraud, racketeering implications. 6 months after I was fired, Derek and Linda were arrested. I got the call from my lawyer while I was grocery shopping. He said, "Turn on the news, Channel 7. I pulled up the live stream on my phone. There was Derek, being walked out of TechFlow's office in handcuffs. Linda right behind him. News cameras everywhere. The perp walk. The same walk they'd made me do 6 months earlier, except this time, it was real. The trial took 8 months. Derek's lawyers tried to negotiate a plea deal. The DA refused. They had too much evidence. They wanted to make an example. I testified for 3 hours, walked the jury through every email, every transaction, every lie. Derek's lawyer tried to paint me as a disgruntled employee with an axe to grind, someone who'd fabricated evidence to get revenge. Then, the prosecutor pulled up Derek's deleted emails, the ones he tried to erase, the ones we'd recovered from the backup server. The smoking gun. In one email, sent the day before I was fired, Derek wrote to Linda, "IT guys getting suspicious about the missing inventory. Time to pull the trigger. Make sure the paperwork looks clean." The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek and Linda both. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, forgery. Derek got 6 years in federal prison. Linda got 4. But the criminal trial was just part of it. My wrongful termination lawsuit was still pending, and now that Derek had been convicted, TechFlow's corporate office was panicking. They'd already fired their CEO for failing to maintain adequate oversight. Their stock price had tanked. They were facing multiple shareholder lawsuits. The board wanted this to go away. They offered $2 million to settle. My lawyer said it was a good offer, more than we'd likely get from a jury. I told him to counter with $2.3 million, and a public apology, and a letter of recommendation, and an agreement to hire me back as a consultant to fix their security systems. They accepted within 24 hours.
Let me tell you what happened next. TechFlow issued a press release, apologized for my unjust termination, praised my integrity and professionalism, announced they were implementing new oversight procedures to prevent future incidents. They hired me back as an independent security consultant. 6-month contract, $300 an hour. My job? Fix all the holes Derek had left in their systems and make sure no one could ever do what he did again. Ironic, right? The 2 other employees Derek had framed, they settled with TechFlow too. Not for as much as me. They hadn't had the same level of documentation, but enough to make them whole. And TechFlow gave both of them letters clearing their names and admitting the accusations were false. Derek's appeals were denied. He's currently serving his sentence at a federal facility in Pennsylvania. He'll be eligible for parole in 4 years. Linda got out after 2.5 years. Last I heard, she's working at a call center. Can't work in HR anymore. Convicted felons aren't allowed to handle employee records. As for me, I used the settlement money to start my own IT security consulting firm. Turns out, being the guy who took down a corporate fraud ring is actually great for business. Companies hire me to audit their systems, find the holes, identify the risks, make sure their employees aren't doing what Derek did. I've worked with 37 companies in 3 years, found fraud or embezzlement in 11 of them, saved those companies millions of dollars, and I make quadruple what I made at TechFlow. But here's what I want you to understand. When Derek fired me, he thought he'd won. He thought he'd silenced me, destroyed my credibility, made it impossible for me to fight back. He underestimated 2 things. First, he underestimated how much evidence he'd left behind. Every email, every transaction, every lie. All documented, all time-stamped, all recoverable. Delete doesn't mean gone. It just means hidden. And hiding something from IT is like trying to hide from Google. We always find it. And second, he underestimated my patience. I didn't go on social media and rage about my firing. I didn't send angry emails. I didn't try to sabotage the company or leak secrets. I just documented everything, built my case, followed the legal process, let the evidence speak for itself. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes the quietest revenge is the most devastating. I think about that Tuesday morning sometimes, sitting in Derek's office, being accused of theft, the humiliation of being marched out in front of my coworkers, the anger and helplessness I felt. And then I think about 6 months later, watching Derek in handcuffs, testifying against him, in court, cashing that $2.3 million settlement check. Karma isn't just a concept. Sometimes, if you're patient enough and smart enough, you can be the karma. Derek thought he could make me disappear, make me the bad guy, make me too scared to fight back. But he forgot one crucial thing. I wasn't just any employee. I was IT. I had the keys to his kingdom, and he'd been dumb enough to leave the doors unlocked. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been wrongfully accused at work? Have you ever been the scapegoat for someone else's crimes? Did you fight back? Or did fear keep you silent? And if you could go back, would you do anything differently? Leave a comment with your story, because I guarantee you're not alone. And sometimes, just knowing other people have been through the same thing can make all the difference. And if you're currently in a situation like mine was, if someone's trying to frame you or silence you, document everything. Every email, every conversation, every transaction. Save it all. Back it up. Keep copies in multiple places. Because you never know when you'll need to prove the truth. And when that day comes, the evidence will speak louder than any accusation. Thank you for watching. And remember, never underestimate the IT guy. We know where all the bodies are buried. Digitally speaking.